Investigators say the New Orleans attacker built 2 bombs using RDX, which failed to detonate. He killed 14 people and injured over 30 by driving a truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street on New Year's Day. And Jay-Z filed a motion in a rape lawsuit accusing attorney Tony Busby of not investigating claims that he and Diddy drugged and raped a woman in 2000. Busby denies the accusations. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Nearly 3,000 teen drivers die in car crashes each year. Tire Rack Street Survival is designed to save lives. The one-day hands-on driving school gives teens experience in car control through exercises that include emergency braking and skid recovery. Find a class near you at TireRack.com/survive.
Is this the title?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL has a contingency plan to move the Rams playoff game Monday night because of the wildfires in the Los Angeles area. If the air quality continues to be unsafe, the Rams will play Minnesota Monday night at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, home of the Arizona Cardinals. No word yet on when the NFL might make that decision. The Chargers donated $200,000 for relief efforts to help people impacted by the fires. Clippers star Kawhi Leonard was given permission to leave the team in Denver Wednesday afternoon to be with his family. Leonard has a home in Pacific Palisades, one of the areas hardest hit by the wildfires. Residents in Pacific Palisades have been advised to evacuate. The LA Kings hockey game Wednesday night at Crypto.com against Calgary was postponed. The Lakers are scheduled to play at Crypto tonight against Charlotte. The NBA has yet to confirm whether the game will be played. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is for all the folks who appreciate follow-through. Here's a quick recap of the KBLA Talk 1580 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. More than 6.4 million Southern Californians viewed our climate justice billboards and bus shelters. Another 1.5 million people listened to and or downloaded our weekly conversations with African American climate experts. Our KBLA Climate Justice web portal had 2.8 million unique visitors. Thousands more attended our 7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains. And 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 Climate Justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not to unsettle you. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tap Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in to First Things First with the Queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First. First things first. And my first thing today, giving thanksgiving praises, asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. Yeah, we got things to talk about, things to do. And we are all over it. So Monday through Thursday, the way we do things around here, hour one, we look to the left coast, what's going on the Pacific Ocean side of town. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with Hot Topic, a person of interest. Today's person of interest will be nutritionist and herbalist extraordinaire, Queen Afua. Yes, making sure our bodies and spirits are right and tight for a challenging new year, but also in combating the impact to our bodies of this toxic air that we're dealing with around the massive wildfires. As you know, we broadcast from Leimert Park, Africatown, USA, on the Crenshaw Strip in Los Angeles. And then, of course, in hour two, we'll have freestyle phones as usual, but we'll have Mark Yarducci, who is an expert on emergency responses, over emergency response. He's now retired, but he was over it for the state for many, many years. And, of course, right now, my friend and colleague, she's the director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, lead organizer for BLMLA, professor at Cal State LA, mother of 3, Dr. Melina Abdullah. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Sister Dominique. And we lift up your dad's spirit. I saw your post this morning, and absolutely calling on your dad's incredible spirit, Amiri Baraka's incredible spirit. Thank you for sharing him with us.
Oh, thank you for looking at it that way. And yeah, today is the anniversary when 11 years ago he made his transition. So I always feel a way on January 9th, and I've learned to recognize that and, channel it. And then I hope that his spirit comes through me and helps me slice and dice some of these jokers out here just doing dumb stuff. That's
right. I saw what you posted about what he'd be saying about these fools talking crazy and MAGA and all of that. Yeah, your dad was, of course I didn't know him like you did, but I was blessed to be in space with him, and his wit was unparalleled, and it's definitely it's one of your qualities that you inherited from him, clearly.
Oh, thank you. I'm the tiny bit, not at his level, but so there's a lot going on, and I was sad to hear that some of the family and extended family of movement folks are really suffering as a result of these fires.
Yeah, well, I think I haven't heard at least a racial analysis of the fires. And I know a lot of attention has been paid to the Palisades fire, where you're talking about mainly white affluent community. But the Eaton fire, Altadena, Pasadena, Altadena is a traditionally Black area. And, many, many Black families were hit by that fire. I know at least 5 families now who've been evacuated and their homes are gone. 3 of my friends that I checked in on, I heard about 2 more, but 3 of my friends that I checked in on said their homes and everything that they own is gone. And we need to be aware of who's there. Who's being directly impacted. And we also have others that have been evacuated and don't know the condition of their homes, but have been evacuated from that area.
Yeah, I was actually texting with James Farr on yesterday, and he was saying the same thing about Altadena, that a couple of his friends, lost their whole homes and everything in it. And I shudder because I know that many times we as Black folks can be underinsured, which means it's harder to bounce back. But even if you are fully insured, family heirlooms and photos, spiritual implements and items, it's just a devastating thing to lose your whole home. And yeah, I haven't seen a racial analysis either, but I got to tell you, Doc, I feel for the people on the west side too, those folks in the Palisades. I mean, if you seeing the pictures, it's like the whole town, that town center area is gone. And, people, we've got, according to the LA Times, 5 deaths so far, but a lot of apparently significant injuries as well. And I think about children, no matter what their ethnicity, watching their whole home burn down. We're talking trauma and terror. I mean, it's just scary to me.
Right. Well, I think the reason that I'm uplifting a racial analysis is you're from the Bay, too. I remember the Oakland fires, and I remember lots of disasters where we sometimes go, oh, well, that's those rich white people, right?
Yeah.
And have been relieved that in many places, I know we go, well, we don't live in the hills, we live in the flatlands, right? And part of that is they have resources to recover. And Black people don't usually have as many resources to recover. And I think that with this one, we can't say that because Black people were also directly impacted. When you talk about being underinsured, we tend to be less insured than our white neighbors are. But also, we're denied our claims at much higher rates. So even when you have insurance, these institutions that were built off the backs of Black people, right? State Farm, Farmers, all of these insurance companies that have farm in their name because the first policies that they issued were for our enslaved ancestors to white slaveholders, right? They built their corporations and their corporate profits off of our backs. Well, they continue to build their profits off our backs by denying claims. And when you look at like the data that comes out of Hurricane Katrina and other disasters that hit Black people, it's Black people who are most often denied claims. And Keeanga-Yamahtta Taylor has a whole analysis about this, but and presents a lot of that data in one of her most recent books. But it's important that we understand that when we talk about, I'm glad Black people were spared in these disasters, one, this one we were not spared, and two, when we are hit, we tend to not be able to recover as readily as more affluent folks and whiter folks.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I almost moved to Altadena when I bought a house because it is an historically Black area and there are some beautiful homes there. And I think that's an important point about us bouncing back. I was worrying about that, as if gentrification wasn't driving us out of Southern California, LA enough. But I also, it kind of amazes me, I guess, because I'm from the Bay, and also even here in LA when we had the big earthquake, the Northridge quake, I feel like people were more focused on how do we help other people. Maybe I'm too online, I don't know. But to me, the fact that the immediate response of people like Rick Caruso, and I saw some of the Republicans on CNN, and of course, Elania, just their response is attack the mayor, attack the county fire chief, and blame it on DEI, and blame it on Mayor Karen Bass like she controls the wind. I mean, Caruso had the nerve to say, well, this brush has been building up for 30 years. Oh, surely Karen Bass has been the mayor for 30 years. And you guys don't believe in the idea of phones and like FaceTime and all the technology. So the mayor cannot direct city departments from Ghana and then vilifying Ghana as if, she was in the N-word place, so she couldn't do her job. It just, I'm wearing a pin today, Doc, that says Black Women Lead, and I'm wearing it in honor of our mayor because I think she's been unfairly attacked. And I get that this is coming from the left and the right, and some on the left feel that they want to criticize the mayor for cutting the fire budget, which is a fair point. But really, that's your immediate response, not can we help fight the fire? How can we support our brothers and sisters who have lost their homes? What do we need to do to bounce back? How do we protect ourselves from toxic air? No, it's let's pile on the mayor. And I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's fair to attack her for being in Ghana. This is what leaders of major cities do. You can't be in the city all of the time. It makes sense for her to be there. I'm drawing tremendous inspiration from what's happening on the continent right now, especially not Ghana, but the Sahel states, which are not far from Ghana. I think it makes sense for her to not always be in Los Angeles, right? Mayors of major cities are not always present in their cities. But, I do think that she hasn't listened to the voices of organizers over the last 2 budgets that she's controlled, which is, almost uniformly, Black people especially, have said, I know it's not popular to say anymore, but defund the police and fund the things that actually keep us safe. And instead of doing that, she has increased the police budget, given police a raise, given the police chief the highest salary of any police chief in the country, and even from people who are directly impacted by the fires. I'm thinking about one of our brothers, Michael Williams, who you know well, who led our work around getting Kevin De Leon out for Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. He was the team lead on that. He and his family, his mother is also a member of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, Sister June. As he was evacuating his home, one of the points that he raised is we should have funded the fire department, not funded police. And so I think that's a fair criticism. I'm not saying that, the wind is her fault or being out of the country is her fault.
Apparently it is. Apparently it is. I mean, Elon Musk, and why is every news station putting Rick Caruso on? What is he the mayor of? What is he the department chief of? He's nothing but a sore loser, whiny ass billionaire who's not doing anything to help people. He's over here complaining and crying. Instead, go take your billions and go buy some more helicopters and drop some water on people. It upsets me, Doc, and I do disagree with the left. I do agree that, yes, fund the fire department. And I also think it shows you how slimy and snaky these conservatives are, even when they try to call themselves Democrats. I mean, the police so-called union and spent $4 million to keep Bass out of office. She did everything to appease them, right? As you've pointed out. And Caruso was their candidate, so you think he'd be applauding. But now he has the nerve to say, oh, you defunded the fire department. Joker, that's what you wanted. You know what I'm saying? That's what you pushed for. That's what you tried to threaten the mayor to, where she felt like she had to do that or she wouldn't be able to even stay in office. And now you want to come out and try to make that talking point, and that the owner of the LA Times piling on. I think we as progressives shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes when we do this kind of stuff, because if, as a result of all of this piling on, Caruso ends up being the mayor, that ain't going to be a great thing for us. I don't care, what the issues are, and I just think we do it all the time.
Well, no, nobody on the left wants Caruso as mayor, but I think it also raises that when progressives elect someone, that person also owes the progressive base that elected them more than they owe the people on the right that threaten them.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
I hope that pulls, we're in budget season again. Yeah. I hope that she's pulled into listening to us. We'll have another people's budget process. We're actually preparing to release the survey next week. We hope that Karen Bass will say, you know what? Maybe I do need to fund the fire department. Maybe I shouldn't be retaliatory against the city controller who's providing, I think, a really important budget analysis. And, she's cut Kenneth Mejia's budget almost in retaliation for him exposing these things. That's the city controller.
Yeah.
And I think that she needs to listen to the progressives, to the Black people who are saying fund services, not police. The police are never going to like you, even if they give you a raise, even if you give them a raise.
Yeah, and as Paulie says in the chat, the same people that were pushing for that those raises for the police and the giant budget are the same people that are piling on the mayor now. I do hope that she listens, and I do think this is a problem in the Democratic Party in general. They want to pal around with Liz Cheney, and underserve their base and try to co-opt the progressive policies and programs that are super popular with the people, and yet try to disenfranchise the progressive activists and lawmakers who have pushed them to even do those popular programs in the first place. So on that, we are on the same page. Talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah, when we come forward, I want to get further analysis also of what happened in Sacramento. You were there as well. We had Friday Jones on, and the push to see where we can make our lawmakers go on reparations following the disaster of August 2024. That and more straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
So this new dose is... nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do...
Let's play something, Grandma.
...became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Somebody bring out the confetti, baby! Starting Monday, January 6th, KBLA Talk 1580 has a new midday lineup.
I'm excited!
Are you ready for Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornel West, Jesse Jackson Jr., D.L. Hughley, and E. Quarterly Corte back-to-back?
Oh my God!
Are you really ready for all this smoke?
I'm ready, brother.
Yes, we still have Dominique DiPrima in the mornings and Zoe Williams in the evenings, but middays just got lit on KBLA Talk 1580.
We on fire.
All across America, people are talking about our new midday lineup. Starting Monday, January 6th, our KBLA 1580 app downloads are on fire because everybody's going to be tuning in.
Yes, I love you guys. You are the bomb.
Now would be a good time to hit up SMB at KBLA1580.com if you want folks to hear about your business or brand. That's SMB at KBLA1580.com. It's going up in 2025 on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's going up.
That's what I want.
If you need up to $3,000, go to WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com is the name you can trust. It's free to use, available 24/7, and you are never required to accept any loan offer. Some lenders offer same-day funding. If you need up to $3,000, type WeFixMoney.com directly into your browser. WeFixMoney.com has been helping customers for 15 years and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. So, if you need cash for credit card bills, car repairs, child care, or anything else, go to WeFixMoney.com. Make sure you type WeFixMoney.com directly in your browser. Go to the company you trust, WeFixMoney.com. Just fill in the information and get an answer in minutes at WeFixMoney.com. For up to $3,000, go to WeFixMoney.com. That's WeFixMoney.com.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, we got some folks on the phone. Dr. Melina Abdullah of Black Lives Matter Grassroots and BLMLA, Cal State LA. I don't know how you do all these jobs that you got, but you also have a radio show every Saturday morning. This is not a drill. From 8 to 10. So if you guys haven't checked it out, you definitely should do that. We got some folks on the phone. I want to talk about reparations. That's what we set out to discuss, but there's a lot of going on, so I'm glad we're able to address it. Let's go to Shayon calling us from Long Beach. Good morning, sir.
Hi. Good morning to you and your guests. Well, you would hope people would think, hey, let's get the fires out before they criticize the mayor, as if the wind and the fire said, you know what, Mayor, ooh, the mayor's in Africa. Let's blow and burn down the city. It's like, come on, don't be stupid. But it ain't all.
Yeah, and it feels like, at least for Caruso and Musk and those folks, it feels like opportunism to me.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of people online, social media, from Instagram to TikTok. They, talking about the mayor was out of town, and then the ridiculous reporter. I guess that was at the airport terminal when she got back. It's just like, really, you got a journalism degree, and that's the type of question you come up with. I don't get it. It's just dumb. That's all I can say. They just silly. Let the mayor at least get back and assess the situation before she start, making comments. Because it's one thing, I get it that with communication she's in touch, but nothing beats getting on the ground, seeing it for yourself, and putting together an analysis before you just run out to the public and just start talking. You might think you want the mayor to know what she's talking about before she speaks. I don't understand those people. But on to the question of reparations. How are you guys? Well, I ain't gonna say you guys, but how is it the people in the state legislature that went along with the governor to basically tank the bill that was put together by the panel that they spent all the money to collect the data and the information? How do you deal with those people? Because if they don't sign on to push it through, and then the governor is low key torpedoing it, how you get past that, doctor? And I'll take the answer off the air.
It's a perfect question, Shayon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's why there were hundreds of us in Sacramento on Tuesday, and I feel very grateful to be a part of such a really growing and powerful movement. We're organized. Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, our lead, Jan Williams, is just a brilliant, brilliant organizer. So we took a bus of, I believe it was 57 people on that bus. Others caravanned up, others flew up. And, we met people from the Bay Area and from Sacramento. Coalition for a Just and Equitable California was the lead organization with Chris Lodgson. And it was beautiful being there. What we were there to do was, at the very beginning of this legislative cycle, is to really respond to, I think, people who've betrayed our communities. And I'll just name names. I think Tina McKinnon, we haven't given her as much attention as I think we should, but to say things like, we can't organize 30 people to get up to Sacramento and lobby for anything. Well, we had hundreds of folks. Now what, Tina? I think it demonstrates that this is a priority for Black people and our allies. And so it was really important for us to be there to educate legislators, both Black legislators and non-Black legislators, about what real reparations is. And one of the points that I continue to make is an apology is not reparations. And you can keep your apology until you write us a check. I want a real apology that begins with righting the wrong. And that's what we want. And so, again, some of our organizations have never worked together in the past. And not to say it was easy, but I also want to uplift how powerful it is to come together to form a coalition like this, and all of the invisible work that people like Sister Jan put in. These organizations have been meeting since August about what our next steps are, and there was lots of planning that went in. This was our first trip up together. This will not be our last, and we want a reparations package that actually provides repair for Black people who descend from chattel slavery and live in California.
Yeah, I'll do part 2 of that after news, traffic, and sports, because I want to talk about, what that lobbying looks like and what the outlook is as far as these lawmakers, both the ones that were part of the 831 debacle and the new ones that have arrived on the scene. We got a lot of work to do, and we got a lot to talk about. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Bogalusa Mayor Tyron Trong is out on bond after being arrested on charges involving drugs and prostitutes. Louisiana State Police seized various drugs and guns, arrested Trong and 6 others. More arrests are expected. President-elect Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump paid their respects to the late Jimmy Carter at the Capitol Rotunda. Carter, who died at 100, will have his funeral today at Washington National Cathedral. Over 1.5 million Georgians are now enrolled in Affordable Health Care Act coverage, up by 200,000 from last year. President Biden noted that nationwide enrollment has nearly doubled since 2021, thanks to longer enrollment periods and premium subsidies. And in women's college basketball, Washington State plays St. Mary's tonight and Portland State faces Eastern Washington. And Washington will play number 21 Michigan State on Sunday. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Nearly 3,000 teen drivers die in car crashes each year. Tire Rack Street Survival is designed to save lives. The one-day hands-on driving school gives teens experience in car control through exercises that include emergency braking and skid recovery. Find a class near you at TireRack.com/survive.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL has a contingency plan to move the Rams playoff game Monday night because of the wildfires in the Los Angeles area. If the air quality continues to be unsafe, the Rams will play Minnesota Monday night at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, home of the Arizona Cardinals. No word yet on when the NFL might make that decision. The Chargers donated $200,000 for relief efforts to help people impacted by the fires. Clippers star Kawhi Leonard was given permission to leave the team in Denver Wednesday afternoon to be with his family. Leonard has a home in Pacific Palisades, one of the areas hardest hit by the wildfires. Residents in Pacific Palisades have been advised to evacuate. The LA Kings hockey game Wednesday night at Crypto.com against Calgary was postponed. The Lakers are scheduled to play at Crypto tonight against Charlotte. The NBA has yet to confirm whether the game will be played. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant addiction. They can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the company of family and friends and create special moments. Find a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're being joined by Dr. Melina Abdullah, the director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots and BLMLA's lead organizer. And many folks don't think about Black Lives Matter in terms of reparations, but it is part of what the organization works on. And that's one of the reasons why BLM was on the buses, the real BLM, to Sacramento this week actually, for the first day of the 2025 legislative session. We were told that it was lobbying that was going on, and there were conversations with lawmakers. And as you said, quite a few people descended on Sacramento and hit up lawmakers for their office hours. I was under the impression that Assembly Member Isaac Bryan, who I believe unfairly, by the way, is taking a lot of the brunt of the blame for what was a terrible betrayal on the part of the Congressional Legislative Black Caucus of California. But I was told that he was the only lawmaker who did not meet with activists. Is that true?
No, actually, I don't know where that information came from. I do think he might have had a note up on the door, but he wasn't taking drop-in visits because he had a scheduled visit with our lead. So he met, my understanding is he met with Chris Lodgson, who is the lead. He's the director of the California Coalition for Just and Equitable California, which is our lead organization. He is the lead of that organization, and he and Assembly Member Bryan had a 2-hour meeting while we were there, a one-on-one while we were there. So it was a much deeper conversation than the drop-in visits that we had for 5 or 10 minutes with the legislators that we were able to meet with. So I think that was also an unfair, if people are saying that, that was an unfair accusation. I'm not saying that Isaac did everything right last cycle. And I think he's apologized for it. I don't think
he apologized on the show. I mean, you can see it on YouTube, and so I think he's acknowledged that he didn't do everything right. By going along with that, that decision, every single one of those lawmakers clearly did something that I don't agree with. But I just want to clear that up. But when you go to I've never done this. When you go up to Sacramento and drop in, that's what they do. They give you 5 minutes, and you get to sit down and say whatever you say?
Well, usually when we go up for non-controversial things, and I lobby a lot, I do these lobby days with my union, I do them with other organizations. Usually if the legislator is there, they'll give you 5 or 10 minutes to meet with them. If they are not there, then you have to meet with the deputy. What was interesting is that we ran into several instances where the legislators were there and they wouldn't even come out to greet us.
Really?
And that is an insult. Yeah.
So what did they do? They put you with staff, or they just pretended you weren't there?
Well, we had one office of a black legislator who I won't name on the show yet, who wouldn't even send staff out. They said everybody was busy. And then I come here all the time. I've never heard of that, of nobody can come and hear our pitch and receive our package. And that person was adamant that nobody would come out. Their director came out and said, no, nobody's here to hear you. You don't have an appointment. And that's normal. The whole term lobbying comes from the fact that you don't have an appointment. Paid lobbyists literally hang out in lobbies until they see the legislators to get their ears. That's where the term lobbying comes from. So not having an appointment is not a reason to, if you're in the office, to not at least stick your head out and greet folks, or send at least your legislative deputies out to hear the presentation. So, we did wind up putting pressure on that legislator, and they scheduled us for later in the day, but there was some real resentment that Black people were there, and they didn't want to meet with us. There were lots of folks who didn't want to meet with us.
And there's no kind of like Brown Act requirement or anything like that, that they actually honor their office hours and allow folks to have any kind of interaction with them or their staffers?
I don't know that law. I do know what the practice has been.
Right.
So
norm.
I know that the practice is that, of course, you can walk. These are public offices. Of course, you can walk into a public office and ask for a meeting. And what the practice has been is, if the legislator is there, if the lawmaker is there, they usually come out and greet you. And at the bare minimum, legislative aid will come out, greet you, hear your presentation, and take your package. It's different once there's laws on the floor and they're in session, and of course they can't come up from the floor to meet with you.
Right.
But there's always someone in there who should be communicating with Californians that they're there to represent.
Much was made of, has been made, at least in my conversation last Friday with Chris Lodgson, about expanding who we are lobbying, expanding who we consider possible votes, at least, if not people to carry these important pieces of legislation. And I think, to his point, I mean, there was more Republican support last session than we've seen for reparations ever. So apparently the education piece is having some impact. Did you have any surprising, interesting, or encouraging interactions with legislators who were not Black or not Democrats?
Yeah, well, she was a Democrat, but I had a really interesting conversation. We did, because each of our groups, our teams, were about 10 to 12 people per team, and we hit every single office, right? But one of the Latina lawmakers that we dropped in on came out, gave us a really good amount of time, and then shared with us. She said, well, I talk about reparations all the time with my husband. And I was like, her husband must be Black. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we Googled it, and she did have a Black husband and Black children. And I think it points to the wisdom of saying it's not just CLBC members that we can possibly get really key support from, but there's lawmakers who might also understand reparations differently. And so, this mother of a Black child, even though she wasn't Black, she seemed very encouraged by the fact that we were there. She was respectful and said that she wants to hear more, and she wants us to come back and have more time with her. So I was surprised by that. I think with Republican lawmakers, though, we have to be very careful, because much like you're pointing out how Caruso and Musk are kind of jumping on this moment to slam Karen Bass, I think that we have to remember the same Republicans who feign support for reparations. If you look at their record, if you look at Bill Lassalle's record, he is anti-reparations. He's just trying to play things. And so we can't allow them to play us in the process. So if there's Republicans who want to offer sincere support, we should take it, but we also shouldn't be used as a pawn in them trying to slam other folks and playing political games. Our primary push is for reparations. We don't want to get in the middle of what they're doing, and we definitely don't want to be used.
The point that Shayon made, one he called earlier, about the governor really, pimped, I think, the CLBC and got them to be the whipping boys and girls for not passing the Freedmen's Bureau and the funding mechanism. And he outright vetoed the restitution piece, right? So how do you move forward when it seems like the governor, even though he has stated publicly that he is in support of reparations, appears to be backing away from that position, and he has veto power?
Yeah, well, I think that we have to make it clear that the climate is that Californians want reparations for Black people. And I think going up there early and making sure that we continue to build the reparations movement. One of the reasons Newsom, who has, political ambitions, I think that he's secretly happy that, there's not a Democratic president right now because he can run. It's no secret that Gavin Newsom wants to be president of the United States. Everything for him is a political calculation. We have to make sure that he understands that if he continues to move against real reparations in California, it's going to harm his political ambitions. So we have to create political consequences for all of these politicians who, again, are in it for their own political careers by and large.
Talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah and you, 800-920-1580. We're unapologetically progressive, still and always. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way Black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la. As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Indeed, we are. And there are small fires and larger ones popping up as we speak. So far, the fire department is doing an amazing job, despite the criticism. I want to say that the one by the Inglewood oil field, boy, they put that out quickly. But I'm hearing some reports I can't verify, so I don't want to go on the radio and say it, but certainly it's a good idea to wear a mask if you haven't been wearing one before. The toxic fumes in the air are just really, really bad right now, and probably will continue to be so. Talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah, she's just back from the Capitol and lobbying for reparations. So clearly, if we're talking about making it plain to the governor that he's got to support this or risk losing the black vote or risk losing support of Dems, the polling seems to be working against us, although we haven't seen any polling in some time. But what does seem to be working for us is education, not just of lawmakers, right, but of our family, our friends, and our allies.
That's right. And I think making it clear, too, that when you talk about reparations, it's not something that can't be done. It can be done, right? We can look at what happened in Evanston. We can look at what's happened with other communities. And one of the things that continues to be lifted up is it's a basic international legal principle that reparations is something, this is the outlier. The fact that black people have not been paid reparations is the outlier. This is the anomaly. And so all we're saying is bring this country in line with international law as it applies to black people. It should not be only other groups that receive restitution, repair for the harms that they suffered. And black people continue to suffer as a result of these harms.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that I only bring that up because many of our KBLA delegation do know more about reparations than the average person. And I think H. Dorvalis in the chat says, not everyone will open the door and let you in after the first try and knock. We learned this selling chocolate or cookies for our community. We fall and get back up again. I think those are both really important points.
That's absolutely right. And we have to remember how far we've come, that most black people, what I have seen is most black people shift. And even when we talk about the organizations that are coming together around reparations, there used to be a big push and pull between Pan-Africanists and those who call themselves foundational Black Americans. And now we're getting to a deeper understanding where we understand that institutional harms are absolutely something that all black people experience regardless if they immigrated to this country or were brought here as captured from the continent of Africa and descend from chattel slavery. That all of us require institutional repair. And that doesn't mean that black people who descend from chattel slavery aren't entitled to direct payments as a result of the theft of our families and lineages resources. And so I love that Pan-Africanists and those who call themselves foundational Black Americans or whatever they want to call themselves are coming together and building together. And we saw that there were some really heated debates even within our delegation that was up there on Tuesday. And it was good. It's good to have those conversations. I also think that what's happening on the continent with the Sahel states is helping to remind those who shied away from Pan-Africanism that Pan-Africanism is part of the solution. That if you look at the Black autonomy that's being demonstrated in Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger and spreading throughout that region, that is an inspiration and can be a source of Black power for Black people who are also here in the United States.
I mean, you're referencing them really kicking out the French.
Kicking out the French, making those the same forces, the white supremacist capitalist forces that are not just in the United States, that are not just denying claims to folks when we talked about State Farm and farmers and the insurance industry here. Those same white supremacist capitalist forces are the same forces that are raping the continent of Africa of their resources and refusing to even pay taxes. So if you look at what Burkina Faso has done and Traore has done over there, and saying, this is a crime and we will arrest you, corporate CEOs, if you set foot here because you haven't even paid your taxes. You're raping our nation of its resources, and you haven't even paid taxes to the country that you're pulling the resources away from. We'll arrest you. I think that it's symbolic and it's decolonizing, but it's also saying there will be real repercussions that hit you in your pocketbook.
Yeah. Well, I think it's complex too, because you see Russia going in and trying to be the new colonizer, and China's already there, and then Macron makes the comment about African nations not being grateful for being colonized by France. And I don't know that those states pulling out of the West African Alliance is necessarily a good thing, but definitely kicking out colonizers is always a good thing. But ECOWAS, they've stopped some coups and problems in that region. So I have mixed feelings about them pulling out of that alliance.
Yeah, I really, really appreciate the way that, two of my favorite folks are the Barons, Charles and Inez Barron out of New York, who call themselves elected activists, right? They've been doing a really, really good job of, making the case and translating it, pun intended, translating it to Africans in this country, African-American audiences, and helping us to understand what's happening there. I know that they're doing a special conversation about the Sahel states on Friday. I think it's at noon their time, but they're going to be talking about what this means for African Americans and helping us to understand the complexities of it. As you say, it is super complex, but I appreciate what's been put out to help me understand, because even though I teach Pan-African studies, one of the things I say is, I can't teach all of Pan-Africa, right? So the work that I do is
54
I'm
countries.
An African-Americanist, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so I'm also deepening my understanding around what's happening there. Even though I'm drawing inspiration, I don't know everything, and I'm learning a lot more. And I think that Black folks in this country owe it to ourselves to learn more and gain inspiration from what's happening, the decolonial efforts that are happening on the continent.
Yeah, I think that's right. Time flies when we're on the radio. Hopefully I can lure you back on the show soon, because we didn't even get to policing issues, of which there are so many going on nationally and so many that I see on the horizon with the various consent decrees and pending cases now being subject to a new administration, a new and actually even worse administration. But what I want to do, though, right now is say, okay, we got a couple minutes. What do you want to do with it? Where do you want to leave us?
Yeah, we want to say that the answer to all of this is always organizing. Organize, organize, organize. And so we want you to organize with us in Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. This Sunday is our organizing meeting. We hope that folks will come out Sunday, 7 p.m. at 3423 West 43rd Place. That's this Sunday, the 12th, 3423 West 43rd Place. We'll have grocery bags, hot dinner for you. Also on the 20th, which is King Day, and ironically the day that inauguration of the devil is happening, we're saying you fight fascism through preparedness and organizing. And we plan this before the fires, but it's even more important with the fires, that what does preparedness in this state of the nation look like? And so how to prepare ourselves as Black people and how to organize together. So that'll be on the 20th at the Center for Black Power and More. Will be posted at BLMLA on X and BLM Los Angeles on Instagram. So we look forward to seeing folks there.
That was just done so perfectly, just like a full-on broadcaster, Dr. Melina Abdullah. Thank you so much for being with me this morning. Follow, subscribe, and visit BLM Grassroots on all platforms, right?
That's right. That's right. And thank you so much for having me, Sister Dominique.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Phone lines are open, 800-920-1580. News, traffic, and sports, and more. Only right here.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know. First Lady Melania Trump paid their respects to the late Jimmy Carter at the Capitol Rotunda. Carter, who died at 100, will have his funeral